Good morning to those of you here walking around the paddock. Good morning to everybody watching at home, and a very happy Father's Day to all the dads that are out here this weekend, either racing or wrenching or coaching or just here for support. We appreciate everything you guys do, and for joining us here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Plymouth, Wisconsin, the cheese capital of the world, on what's been a great weekend up to this point, Kyle. Yesterday, you look back at the festivities. The cornhole tournament took place. Team Kart Chaser won that.
Team Kart Chaser taking the W. I can't take any credit for that. You and Caleb and Hunter Bolton taking the win yesterday. Big W's all around.
Huge for the program, I tell you what. We, it was a huge reset. I think after K1 Circuit Wyland, we got into round number 2 of the cornhole tournament. Didn't go our way. I really think we were lacking a little bit. Maybe the boards were a little bit too far from each other. Just weren't quite used to, the way that the bags were going to fly through the air with the difference in oxygen up here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So, we kind of reset yesterday, beat Chase Jones, the Jones team. Him and his dad.
That's a big moment.
That was a big step. That was, that was a huge leap for mankind there and for Kart Chaser.
So now that you guys are on top, going into, if you guys come back again, what's next now that you've reached the top of the summit?
I don't know. The only way is down from here.
Yeah.
So we'll try to stay up there, right? King of the hill right now. We'll try to get up there. We actually were able to beat Chris Kardashian, series owner, and his son Alex Kardashian in the finals. So that was huge. Set of tires. Hunter kept them. So good for Hunter. Maybe a step closer to a KC go-kart here.
We've been talking about this. I actually want to bring this up because cool story. I actually won a Briggs and Stratton engine at PRI last year, running a simulator on this track, the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. We have Greyhound seat. I was in that commercial. So we're pretty close to building a go-kart here at Kart Chaser. I'm not gonna lie. You have tires now, seat, and engine.
Yeah, we're getting close, right? So, that being said, it's honestly been a great weekend to kind of let loose a little bit, relax, and as well for everybody here at home, right? And at the racetrack this weekend to kind of enjoy everything that's kind of gone on. I've heard from various people this weekend that taking advantage of the bouncy houses that were out yesterday, walking around. A lot of the siblings or the sisters to drivers walking around and heading out to that bouncy houses yesterday as well. So
yeah, Route 66 does a good job of making these events, these races, something for the entire family to enjoy, and I think that's really important to the overall event.
Yeah, that being said, we look forward to today. Some main event racing action. Heat race number 2 as well coming your way live later on today. That's going to be for KC Premium members only. For those of you at home watching this morning, make sure to become a member for $9.99 a month. And you can watch all the KC Premium action live. And that's for the entire month, so that won't expire until July 15 next month. So you have a whole month of watching racing. This weekend, we're off next weekend, I believe. And then the weekend after that, we're here again. The United States Pro Kart Series. And then we have more and more and more races throughout the year. So you're not going to want to miss any of the action. We're excited to bring it to you guys on what we always call, when we get into the summer stretch, the KC Summer.
This is the KC Summer Series.
Us, right? So the KC Summer Series. There you go with us this year. But yesterday it was all about Adam Kreppen in KA Masters. He was quicker than anybody else. And again, just kept himself out in front for the majority of the day, Kyle.
Yeah, he really dominated the race yesterday, the first heat. So looking to the second heat, Adam Kreppen, Nicky Coelho, and Christian Romere. I mean, it's really going to be seeing if you can reel in Adam Kreppen. We talked yesterday about how Adam kind of got so used to winning and, struggled a bit in round number 1 at Whiteland, at K1 Circuit Whiteland. And, looks like he's found his step again this weekend here at Road America.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of surprised him, right? Whenever we got into main event time for Adam Kreppen at the end of it. But you know, that being said, he's been, I think, the class of this field for about 2 years time. I think maybe even longer than that. Or I think Nate said it himself that going into the opening round this year, he had been 8 races unbeaten, 2-year undefeated streak in Route 66 competition, and that was snapped by Brian Boley at the opening round, at the opening weekend. But nonetheless, this morning, a couple of other drivers found some pace. Christian Vomier, we saw him get pretty close to Adam Kreppen. He's in the 483. Lucas Rennick out there on the racetrack as well in the 601. And more. It's actually registering quite a few drivers here in Masters. About 9 of them, I believe. Let's give old trusty race monitor a refresh. There you go, 9 drivers here this morning. Randy Klemek in the 409. We saw Ryan Heeman in the 407 on that GFC. Followed him around for quite some time. Across the line, 3rd to Kreppen, to Vorpagel. Christian Vomier down in 7th with the fastest lap, actually. I have this wrong way around. That being said, we move on to 206 Sportsman. Yesterday, a couple of the young drivers impressed us. We saw Dominic Gaddis, the likes of Wolf Eidinger, pull away from the field. Austin Taylor and a couple of others look to kind of get themselves into the mix, just on the outside, really looking in.
Yeah, it was really just a battle between the 2 MPG Academy karts of Wolf Eidinger and Dominic Gaddis yesterday. So, you know, if you're 3rd,
Coming out of last night, coming into today, Hayden was obviously very quick. We saw Caleb Gaffera was up there. But again, big kind of stories. We talked about the 979 of McPherson. Welcome back, 206 Junior. Out onto the racetrack now. You saw your KA100 Seniors just wrapped up there a couple of moments ago. And this time out, we saw, I think, a lot of separation in this class yesterday, more in this class than a couple of others.
Yeah, a little bit more than you would have expected. But again, I'm guessing Gavin Dyer wants to have a better run today than he did yesterday. There's a couple of guys in the field like Jack Viber who want to do a little bit better. Yeah,
Jack Fieber was one of the drivers that, got himself into the top 5. Brady Shad as well here this weekend. It's been pretty impressive. The 365 has been getting himself into the mix already with a heat race victory to his name. We saw this one kind of close. Braden Domont, the 309, was also up there with him as the weekend went on, but nonetheless, it's been some close racing. It's been close racing so far, and again, to take a look back to what we saw at Whiteland for the opening round, Brady Shad was able to get one over Sam Tutwiler, who's not with us here this weekend, but Jack Fieber was also there. The 381 was impressive out at Whiteland. And a couple more drivers as well here joining us this weekend. This class, again, growing to about 23 drivers here for the second round in Plymouth, Wisconsin at the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. Cup Karts North America has been one of the series that's come out here time and time again, and now have the return of the big national, the United States Pro Kart Series, coming back to a home racetrack for them here this year. So that's an exciting thing. And again, interesting enough, Kyle, kind of have heard a little bit of different approaches. It did rain a little last night. That is something to note. So it's going to be a fresh racetrack here this morning, kind of going back to square one, like we like to call it.
Yeah, every time it rains, the rubber gets completely washed away, and we're here with a green racetrack this morning. A bit more rain than I think we would have expected last night. And it looked this morning like there's a potential for it, but I don't see anything on the radar or on the weather, so it's just something to keep an eye on. It's a little bit more cloudy than it was.
Don't speak that into existence here today, Kyle. But not forecasted for today.
Yeah,
Good thing, not forecasted. I was telling Alex Suro, I've had my fix for wet weather racing months ago, so not interested in seeing any more. No, but that being said, it is a lot cooler out today than what it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler, a bit more overcast. Actually, I'm not as against the wet weather racing as you, my friend. I think it could add something into the mix versus yesterday, and then I think if it rains, that could be something that everyone has to deal with, and it's already a green track, so it could make it more entertaining, I think. I mean, it has rained a lot this year. We have had to deal with it quite a bit, but
yeah, no, I don't know. I wouldn't be a big fan, to be honest. That being said, you're looking at the times this morning. Gavin Dyer currently quickest, and it actually goes back to Brady Shad, 365 at 55.592, to Dyer, to Fieber, to Trudell, and to Isaac Rothel. Your top 5, and that's going to change even more as Domont crosses the line. He now goes to the top of the pylon. So good showing for these boys, kind of just getting warmed up, getting themselves, boys and girls, I should say, just kind of getting themselves warmed up, getting themselves ready. We always talk about warm-up sessions, right, Kyle? All about getting the gremlins kind of figured out, either within yourself, within the go-kart, whatever else you need to kind of get yourself, you really should be trying something in the warm-up session, right? Try to go that little bit better, expecting the conditions are going to stay the same throughout the day.
Yeah, yes and no. Based on the conditions, being so early in the morning, you can only try. There's only so much you can try, really. I mean, a warm-up is more so just, get your body warmed up, get do a leak check, make sure everything's firing on all cylinders, make sure everything's going well.
I don't know, right? Because if you find yourself on the back foot, I think at the end of the heat race, I think putting yourself, trying something different in the warm-up, I would see the benefit in that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a benefit, but there's a saying that goes, nothing good ever happens in warm-up, right?
Yeah.
So if you just want to make it through the morning and into the heat, and you can try some.
Micro Swift hits the racetrack now. Yesterday, we saw a couple of DNFs. Tyler Blackwood, one of them, who unfortunately couldn't close out the first heat race yesterday in the Micro Swift. And again, I think one of the only real incidents we saw yesterday, big pile up there in the first corner yesterday. But the number 4 of Liam 4, local here to Wisconsin, races the Tuesday night series here at the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. He put himself on the top step at the end of the heat race. He should start on the pole position later on today. Bo Wyatt, the 41, also impressed. Harrison Aplewood, Evan Leash, and Austin Taylor, your top 5. Yesterday we saw Westbrook work his way through the field, and I think post-race penalty put him back to 8th. But yeah, a DNF for Tyler Blackwood, and a DNF for the number 5 of George Ho. 2 drivers not able to close the race out yesterday.
Yeah, and as you can see now, already 1 lap into the warm-up session, the trio of Bennett Karts of Bo Wyatt, Dutch Westbrook, and Tyler Blackwood all at the top of the pylon, as they were yesterday after qualifying, or before qualifying. But it was Liam 4 who took the top step and basically dominated yesterday in the Micro Swift division. So Tyler Blackwood, he showed speed, unfortunately had a DNF. Dutch Westbrook got taken out in the first corner and had to make up. He basically had to make his way through the field the entirety of the race, so he would definitely today, it'll be interesting to see what happens if he can make it through that first lap and battle with the leaders.
Yeah, a lot of work to do for some of these kiddos. I believe Westbrook starts back in 8th. Bo Wyatt, I think a little bit better than that. He looks a little bit better this morning as well, 53.5 for Bo. And as well, taking a look back at the race yesterday, Kyle, we kind of, talked about the big separation that we saw throughout the different races. And, the starts, I think, had a lot to do with kind of what we were seeing as far as, the amount of action that we saw on the racetrack, because whether it was a tame start or a hectic start, whether you want to call it, turn 2, I think, has really, we've seen that corner spread that field out, I think, just a bit more on that opening lap, with everybody having to check up, trying to work their way through, and, just keep it on the racetrack, right?
Yeah, it's very enticing to go for a move in turn 2 or turn 3. And if the leader gets away and gets a good start, that'll give him that initial gap that he needs on the first lap, away from the rest of the field to just get clean laps. So if you're third on back, and yesterday there was a runaway, you have to think, what can I do in the first lap, in the first corner, to not let the leader get away and try to, have something for him on the first lap so that he can't run away.
Are you a big Townsend Bell guy?
No. Well, yes, I like Townsend commentating.
Turn 2.
Yes, that's probably the only Townsend Bell thing I don't like. Yeah.
No, he's great.
He is great. Yeah.
I know.
When you ask that question, I immediately think of turn 2, and then I get mad. So.
Well, good to see. I guess you're in.
Why? What?
I mean, I was just.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was just
turn
wondering,
2.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm next to Kyle. See if he picks up on it. And you're in there. Would you be mad if I started doing it?
No.
I think it'd be kind of funny.
I won't let you bother me.
Maybe a little unoriginal.
Yeah, you should get your own lines.
Nah, never been a big fan of that. But that being said, I am a fan of checkered flags. Tell you what, I'm sure Dutch Westbrook's going to be a fan of his fastest lap here in the warm-up session, 53.328. To Wyatt, to Blackwood, to Leash, to Taylor, your top 5 here in the morning session. That being said, Kyle, we were kind of going back and forth yesterday about things that are local to Wisconsin. You asked ChatGPT yet? What you know, you should probably ask ChatGPT what else or what more is, you know, kind of, I guess you could say, characteristic or unique about the state of Wisconsin. See what it gives you. It's crazy because you can ask ChatGPT anything nowadays. Ask for a setup maybe.
ChatGPT is how I got the. That's how I predicted last weekend's results. Number 1. Okay, this is how Wisconsin is actually unique and kind of impressive. America's Dairyland number 1. Wisconsin produces more cheese than any other state. We knew that. The only state that licenses its cheesemakers. Number 2, what Wisconsin's known for, beer and bars. This is where the Miller Brewing Company is. I think we knew that. And that there are 2 Great Lakes. More lakes than there is in Minnesota, despite Minnesota being the land of 10,000 lakes. Incredible.
Well, there you go. That's some good old Wisconsin for you. Looking back at yesterday here in the mini Swift class, kind of take a look through the results here as well with Dominic Gaddis taking the win yesterday. Simon Jack Klein across the line in second, with Orioli to third, Feidinger to fourth. So that changed a little bit compared to what we saw on the racetrack, right? We saw, I believe, Orioli come across with a win, and he was actually caught for scrubbing tires after the commitment cone in that first heat race. So that finds him back in third, a Feidinger to Supaka. Here at top 5, Cam Johnson as well got shuffled back a little bit. So a couple of movers, a little bit of a shakeup in the field compared to what we saw on track. But that being said, 17 drivers here today as we see Gaddis, Orioli, Taylor, Feidinger pushing each other with Hudson Howard, young rookie, I believe only 8, 9 maybe. Same for Stoffel, that's just right behind. He's, I believe, 9. Simon Jack Klein, talk about Orioli, who's been in the class for about a year. But yeah, a couple of the young guns looking to get themselves some racing experience. As well, talked to Birdie's dad a little bit yesterday. Rich Stoffel, happy Father's Day to him and the rest of the dads here in the paddock this weekend. Talking about, the differences of moving up to a micro Swift, from a micro Swift category up to a mini Swift category. The weight's a little bit more in mini Swift, so getting the kids kind of used to, moving the cart around, kind of, telling it what to do when there is more weight on that, when it is a heavier go-kart. That's huge, I think, for the fitness as well, going back to micro Swift with, I think, about a 25-pound difference, Kyle?
Yeah, the fitness was the most interesting thing. I think there was, no power steering on a go-kart, obviously. And, adding weight to the go-kart, or really in car racing as well, any weight you add is just going to make the steering inputs harder and make the driving above that change from micro to mini.
That's huge. You also have like a little bit of a different power range, almost the same. A little bit of the same here in the Mini Swift class compared to Micro. And now some changes up top. Slayton Baldock. Quiggs with a 52.5 to Johnson, to Orioli, to Feidinger, to Wojciechowski. Out of Chicago, Illinois. Your top 5 here in the Mini Swift class this morning, and that's going to continue to change as it goes on. What are some of the other things that kind of impressed you yesterday, about watching the racing here, Kyle?
I think, honestly, as usual, the maturity of the cadet and junior classes, honestly. I mean, seeing the kids kind of understand how the maturity of their driving and understanding, when to go, when to not. And I think that was incredible. That was impressive. Other than that, I mean, I think we saw a lot of patience yesterday. I mean, I think when we get to the finals later, maybe not in Heat 2, maybe in Heat 2 it might ramp up a little bit, but I think by the time we get to the finals, everybody's going to stop being so patient and stop being so nice to really get the end result that they want.
Yeah, that'll definitely be key. I think, week after week with, being halfway through the season, it's been kind of on it from the get-go, right? So you see, they kind of learn what they can't do. As well, part of the series jobs, the officials as well, to get everybody up to speed here this weekend with what they want to see on the racetrack. Kid out of Wisconsin, Simon Klein, Orioli, Dominic Gaddis, Wolf Feidinger. Your top 5 here to start off the morning in Mini Swift, presented by BBS Race Engines as well here. Huge shout out and a thank you to all of our sponsors, all of the sponsors here that make this possible for Route 66 and being a part of it. We appreciate you all. I think impressed yesterday, making moves. And want to control. Landon Boer fell back to 4th, and Isaac Nolan was your top 5 there yesterday. But nonetheless, 35 drivers total here this weekend, Kyle, with only one DNF at the end of it. So 36 drivers total here this weekend at KA100 Jr.
Yeah, it is impressive. Yesterday, like you said, it was all Benham Abernathy and John Antonino finishing in 2nd. Now that's the championship battle right there. After one round, going into round 2, it was Benham Abernathy versus John Antonino by about 8 points. So that already seems to be the way that the weekend is rolling between these two. So Antonino going into the 2nd heat, needs to, I think, needs to probably do something and try and beat Abernathy to try and stay in the points here. Now again, only 2nd round out of 4. This hits the halfway point, so a lot of things can happen, but it's still something you want to be mindful of as you see a little bit of contact there in warm-up.
Yeah, just we talked about some of the corners, right? Kind of side by side is all good, and then just kind of run out of room throughout some of the corners. That was the 890 actually going off the racetrack on the Exbury machine. Asen Dramalev works his way through. Landon Boer now next to try and go on by. But even then, some of these corners are quite tricky to go side by side in. If you're on that outside line, it's really easy to get swallowed up.
Yeah, for sure. And, you're carrying so much speed down the hill. The exit just comes up so quick. You see Buddy now closing in on Siraki, leading the group.
Yeah, Brandon, pretty good qualifying for him yesterday, and I believe a pushback deleted his fastest lap time. Thought he could have gone faster on that last lap and just ran into traffic, pushed that bumper in. But had to do some work yesterday, and he got it done quite fast to get himself inside of the top 10. Nonetheless, kid, he was kind of unhappy with, I guess, the fact that he couldn't get higher sooner. But even then, I think he'll be happy to see himself fighting up at the front here this weekend with some of the drivers that we've seen running up at the front across the national races as well.
Yeah, for sure. See Asen Dramalev go to the top with a 49.8 in the Techno Kart. Making a move on Brandon Siraki.
A couple of more. Isaac Nolan as well was impressive yesterday for Hotz DD. Was getting himself in the mix there as well. Had some good pace. Yesterday, I believe, finished inside of the top 5, if I read that correctly, and he did indeed finish actually just 5th. Just 5th ahead of Nathan Golseth, who's racing under Millwright Racing this weekend. Just a really solo operation for him and a couple of the other young drivers, right? Talk about Grayson Walcott with us here this weekend, Tucker Trebe. A huge camp this time out for Josh Hotz and his entire development program. There's Benham, driver we saw pull away on his own as well there yesterday. Kind of was setting in personal best lap times, lap after lap in the main event. And you saw that kind of just benefit him that much more. But with checkered flag in the air, the fastest this morning is the 77 of Dramalev. And I stand corrected. Oh, actually, it held Dramalev fastest, and Owens, Antonino, to Morden, Landon Boer, your top 5 at the end of the warm-up session here in KA Junior. Last warm-up session of the morning. 2:06 Masters out on the racetrack now, and it was Rennick yesterday that kept himself out in front throughout the heat race, throughout the qualifying, throughout happy hour as well. Been about half a second clear of the field on his VLR machine all weekend long. Julia Noel found herself down in 5th. A DNF for Scott Hamble, unfortunately, one of the drivers, one of the protagonists we saw out at KA100 Circuit Whiteland to start off the year. Promoted Grathwall up to 2nd. Kosner Kaminsky, Buddy Daly, all up a spot. But yesterday for Rennick, so far so good.
Yeah, it's been pretty much a dominating weekend for Rennick in every session so far this weekend. Faster by almost half a second to a second a lap in qualifying.
Yeah, Rennick been racing in the Wisconsin area for quite some time. Out at Badger Kart Club. Out here as well. Just keep him busy. Staying in the seat as much as possible. That being said, the same goes for a couple of other drivers in this field here, Kyle. It's just a matter of finding that last little bit of pace. Again, half a second's a lot. Could be driving, could be setup, could be a lot of things. Just trying to get themselves into the mix here and take the fight to Rennick.
Yeah, you got to find something before heat number 2, or else we're going to see another Lucas Rennick runaway.
You're looking at the laps of 55.9 for Rennick, 56.3 for Grathloff, 56.9 for Hamble, and for Kaminsky a 57.135, 57.9 for Buddy Daly. Julia Noel with a 58.6. For those of you watching on at home and here in the paddock, don't forget to become a KC Premium member for $9.99 a month. You can watch all the racing action live throughout the month of June all the way into July 15th. And then so on and so forth. If you do want to keep joining us, it's been great to call the morning sessions with you guys live and free. And after this, we're straight into the heat racing action, heat race number 2, and the main events coming your way later on today. And again, we saw a little bit yesterday, Kyle, of racing. We're coming back today with heat 2, the main event. What are you kind of most excited to see about the weekend?
I'm excited specifically for that KA Senior race a little later on today. I think that final is going to be insane. I'm also excited for a lot of the 206 classes. I mean, like I said earlier, I think once we get to the finals and everyone starts to maybe take a little more risk, I think it could get fun.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that as well later on today, right? You have heat race number 1 that either went your way or didn't, and then you have to reset in heat race number 2. You're either going to try and go out there and make some moves as quick as possible, or you're going to kind of put it on the back foot and not try as much in the heat 2 to put yourself within a good starting spot for the main event. But it's make or break time here later on today. You got to put yourself within a good starting spot in the main event. For those of you guys who joined us this morning, we appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the other side. It's time to go racing once again here at Route 66.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Jr.
Hi, Bob John Bird for TV Kart USA on home soil. They take the win in Amarillo.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
It's time to go racing here in KA100 Masters. Adam Kreppen, with what's been good pace for him all year long and all weekend long, puts himself on the pole position starting on the inside alongside Vomir. You go back to Nate Coelho, Klemek, Heeman, Lefite, Williams, Vorpago, and Britton